happening, YouTube? It's your homie S Dot coming back to you with another video. And today's video is going to be a Transformers TCG video all about not necessarily Captain Impactor, but I have a spoiler for you guys for the Alpha Trion Protocols number 4. Number 4 dropping off in about 2 weeks here, June 15th. Can't wait for it. We got a lot of really cool stuff to show you guys, as well as you guys saw the new mechanic already. Shout out to the whole Alpha Trion Protocols for putting it together, the Legend mode. So if you guys aren't familiar with it yet, definitely go check out the website. Make sure you join the Alpha Trion Facebook, because the Facebook will be showing all the cards, and we'll have an album with every card that's been shown so far. We got some new mercenary support. We got some other cool stuff, of course, we haven't shown you guys yet, but alluding to what I'm talking about for Captain Impactor today, before we talk about his future, let's talk about his past and where he's been good at. So some options where he's been good at is definitely, like, let's say off the top of my head, he's a 7-drop, so he's usually good in like 13-7-5. That's the classic, like, you know, Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend decks that play like Hot Rod and Flame War, and then it kind of evolved into well, I guess Shockwave was like 14-6-5, but you had Octone. Octone was also a 13-drop, so you naturally would look for a 7-drop to go with him, and then also a 5. Other places where he could be potentially good at was with a Living Weapon or Legendary Warrior Optimus from Wave 5, the Healing Optimus, because you could play it with a 1-star head, and that would make him 13. Then you can go with that natural 7, and then for your Captain Impactor, then 5. But moving forward, in the Alpha Trion realm, where he's been good at was with this character, this is regular Jetfire from Wave 1. But of course, with this Jetfire, we also had the I don't believe in Destiny stratagem that you use along with Jetfire. This stratagem is insane. It allows you for your utilities and armors to not be scrapped by your opponent, but you can still be got by Take by Surprise. It's a card from, I want to say, ATP 2, and Catch Off Guard, that's also from ATP 2. Catch Off Guard puts an upgrade from an opponent's bot to the bottom of the owner's deck, and Take by Surprise, you deal 1 damage to one of your bots to put an upgrade of one of your opponent's upgrades to the top of the owner's deck. And then of course you have Disarm, which we always had, and those are outs that will be able to out this card. But other than that, cards like Bashing Shield, Smelt, Aura Dominance from ATP3, etc. would not work. So this card, Impactor, was very solid, being a 7-drop, because you would also play this alongside was it normally 11-7-7, so you could play Fire Drive, you could play Jazz with his stratagem. Of course, that card was really good. It helped save us from you know, Wave 5 and the horrible, ridiculous onslaught of black icons. But digression aside, this is where you normally use him at. Impactor was really solid, being a range character. Of course, the range package, the range trait is still the best trait in the game to this day, because of cards like Arm Hovercraft, Marksmanship, Sturdy Javelin, and so on and so forth. But now comes a time where Captain Impactor evolves, and I know a lot of guys that were into the lore were looking like, man, why is he not a record? Because Captain Impactor in the lore, in the show, I guess I'm assuming, is a record. Well, today is the day where those things change, because you were able to not only use him alongside the Impactor from ATP3, because before we had this card that I'm about to show you, you were able to still use this way, and you were able to play cards like Spotlight, you know, as well, but Captain Impactor still wasn't a record. Well, today that changes in a card that we have called No Matter the Odds. No Matter the Odds is a really, really cool stratagem that Impactor is getting this wave. And what the stratagem does is it's 1 star, and it gives Impactor 1 health and 1 defense. So now we're looking at an 8-star character that has 13 health and 3 defense in tank mode. And that's very fitting, because a lot of tanks, you know, you would like for them to have more defense in their alt mode. And of course, they'll have 1 defense in bot mode. And again, having 13 health. So like 2 effective pretty much health all the way across the board is just very good. It makes cards like Composite Armor strong or stronger on him. It makes your Hunker Downs even better. Like, obviously those cards are already good, just get amplified and get even better. And what this card says is your Captain Impactor special ops is a record. So first and foremost, by itself, these 3 things by itself might have been enough, but we're not done yet. Next, your starting star limit increases by 1 if you began the game with at least 2 records on your starting team. And then finishing out, while one of your records is battling an enemy that has 10 or more stars, and you have Captain Impactor special ops on the battlefield, it has Bold 1 and Pierce 1. So what that does is a couple of things. First of all, we got to talk about the fact that you can play double Impactor together. You have your 9-drop Impactor, then you'll have effectively an 8-drop Impactor, 7, and then 1 with the stratagem. And then now, first of all, let's talk about that second line. Your starting star limit increases by 1 if you began the game with at least 2 records. So obviously it's very hard to not want to be able to play these 2 guys together. So easily you got 17 stars between these 2 cards. So that automatically gives you a 26 card deck when you play these cards together, these 3 that you see on the board right now. So what that allows you to do is, of course, to play another 9-star character. So what other 9-star characters can you play? Well, you could also play this Wheeljack. So this Wheeljack, shout out to the Alpha Trion Protocols for this different, I don't know exactly what kind of the texture of this card is, but as you can see, like the art is kind of like, you can see the alt mode on the back of the bot mode, and then you can see the bot mode on the back of the alt mode. This is really dope. It's similar to like the Energon edition cards. This is very cool. So I don't have the original Wheeljack, but I'm glad I actually found this one to be able to show you guys anyway, because this one is very cool. So you can also play these cards together as so. Now I will say the flip density, it could be kind of weird here. Like your flip density with this team, with this Wheeljack, you know, you'd be flipping this wheel, or excuse me, I'll take that back. You'd probably be flipping this impact on your very first turn. He has 4 attack and bold 1, and he'll have this 2 defense now with 13 health. So he's definitely going to be able to tank a hit pretty well. Most decks that you're going to probably put this in are going to be mixed decks, decks that are playing rollout, decks that are playing hunker downs, decks that are playing, you know, some noble blasters, matrix of leadership, etc. So he'll definitely be able to tank a hit. Then on your next turn, you can flip your Wheeljack, and then this is where cards like either escape route or rollout are really good, and you can do things like that. But point being is, most of the time you weren't able to play both of these impactors, or excuse me, both of these records, these powerful records from ATP3. You were able to play this team before, but this would be exactly 25 stars and you wouldn't get any more bang for your buck. But now you're essentially able to add this card by including these 2 guys first, or including the Wheeljack and the Impactor first, to allow you to be able to have 26 stars, so you can play that additional star to be able to play the 9/9. So you're playing 9/9/8 essentially, which is 18, or excuse me, yeah, 18 plus the 8, which makes 26 because of this stratagem, which is really cool. Now I will say that this lineup is okay, but what I want to say okay, because it's definitely going to be probably very powerful. But I also want to say this also gives another record a chance, and it's a record that hasn't done anything and we've been upset about since its drop, and that's Cup. So this Cup actually gets some more playability too, and what you can do is you can potentially mix things up. You can play this Cup who's 7 stars, who should be 6, you know, but whatever, we'll not digress too much about that. You can play Parsec with this. You can make this Cup a 8 drop, and then you still actually have 1 star left over, because you have your 2 8s, which is 16, and then you have your 9, which is 25. But because you're playing no matter the odds, you'll be able to play 26. And what this actually allows you to finally do, though yes, Parsec is not that great for Cup, because you know it only keeps him with the 10 health, but it does have bold 1. You're able to also play the Spotlight here. So now your lineup can actually look like this, which is actually pretty cool. And you could also mix it up too as well. I was looking at the math earlier. You could also play the Flameout Head. The Flameout Head would give you what is this, 10 stars, and then if you play Impactor, you'd be at 18 stars. So this would effectively give you 26 stars again, so you'd have another 8 stars you can play. So unfortunately you wouldn't be able to play Impactor here, but you could push things a little further, and you can play this, and if you need 8 stars, you have your Spotlight. That means you have 7 stars left over, and then you could probably play something like Fire Drive or Lionizer, or you know, Jazz with his stratagem. You actually have a lot of options, and then what's really important about this is you'll still be able to trigger the no matter the odds and get the extra star, because you have 2 records on your starting team. So this just opens up a lot more possibilities for Cup. You can also add Clobber in and just do the math and be able to add in another Autobot as well. We have cards like Huffer, we have Brawn, if you need to go down as low as having a 5 drop to be able to still meet the requirements of no matter the odds, to be able to fit all these cards and just have an actual powerful Cup attacker with the Clobber Head. So there are a lot of possibilities opening. We also got some more stuff to show you throughout the preview, so be looking forward to that for some more strong possibilities. We especially have another card to show you guys that'll go great with the Spotlight. Villainous Spotlight has been the superior Spotlight since it's dropped, because the orange cards that you're able to play are just better than playing the double blues. Yes, you get to play more heroic resolves with decks like these, but when you want to be aggro with decks like when you're looking at Captain Impactor and things like that, you want to be able to play another card that's aggro. And unfortunately, cards like Energized Field, any other blue star cards like what's the one? Universal Network Access and things like that, those cards just don't help towards your aggression state, if you will. But we have some cards showing coming in previews here soon that I can't wait to show you guys and be able to talk about it officially. But the Spotlight will get a lot better, so be looking forward to previews for that. And honestly, that's all there is to say about that. I mean, yeah, as you can see, again, we have a lot more possibilities with the Autobots. Of course, the Autobots needed some love, and the love that they're getting, you know, since Wave 5, is not like revamping and pushing things all the way on the Autobot side. Cards like Magnetic Dysfunction Ray are still very powerful. You know, Sky Shadow is still going to be very good. I think in full con anyway, in the ATP realm. But I will say, I think things like being prepared for like side decking, reflect damage, having hollow matter projectors, etc. Those things will definitely help you, you know, be able to combat those threats. But overall, this just potentially gives Cup some playability. You can finally actually go back and look at these heads, potentially the bold 1, 2, and 3 head, you know, and the other future stuff that we have for you to show you in this ATP4 meta. And next up, the card we're going to talk about, which is really, really cool. And it also goes along with the record theme. It's a blue action, and it's called Relentless Pursuit. Now, wait till I tell you what this card does. So along with, well, actually, let me start by saying we got to talk about Never a Dull Moment first. Now, Never a Dull Moment, of course, we know that card back from ATP3. It's an orange icon that is aggressive towards secret actions. You bounce an opponent's secret action, and if you have a specialist on the field, your opponent also discards a card from their hand. Well, Relentless Pursuit, what it does is look at each face down enemy secret action, and then you may do 1 damage to one of your records, and if you do 2 damage to each enemy with the highest number of stars on your opponent's team. So one of the first teams that come to mind that'll have something like this are characters like Wheeljack and Impactor. So what this card says again is you may do 1 damage to one of your records, and if you do 2 damage to each enemy with the highest number of stars in your opponent's team. So it's essentially a Camion Crash, and it gets better if your opponent has 2 characters that have the same amount of stars that are also the highest number of stars. So again, an example like that would be 2 9-star characters like Wheeljack and Impactor. Even if you are playing this lineup like this, these 2 characters will both take 2 damage each. So it's a blue icon card that's a Camion Crash to two different characters. Insane. Now, of course, if your opponent's playing if they only have 1 character left, that character obviously is the character with the highest number of stars. Or if they're playing like a 14 drop like Overlord, of course, Overlord is the only one that's going to take damage there. But it also, that synergy with dealing 1 damage to yourself, it has synergy with Cup as well. So that's another reason why Cup gets some love as well. Now, I will say Cup probably does better with some of the health heads, because having only 10 health and being aggressive, like you're a super glass cannon when you're playing those bold heads. But depending on how aggressive your deck is, maybe that's okay. And him just being a 10 drop. If you're playing those spot blues, he'll just live just like in any other deck where you're playing those spot blues in an aggressive shell. But yeah, this, dealing 1 damage to one of your characters, again, it'll give Cup the ability to give the attack boost to whatever character you dealt damage to, whatever record you dealt damage to, and then again, be a Camion Crash. Then you also get to look at your opponent's face down secret actions. So one of the first things that comes to my mind about that is, first of all, decks that are playing cards like Spy Master's Roost, etc. If they have multiple secret actions, again, you get to look at each and every single one of them, kind of not synergy, but similar to counter espionage. And what's also important is one of the most devastating secret actions still in the game, Sabotage Armaments. If they have a Sabotage Armament set and you have a pocket processor, or excuse me, you have a utility or an armor, we'll just say that universally, you could play that card and just dodge your opponent's Sabotage Armaments. Now, of course, if their Sabotage Armaments is stuck under a Spy Master's Roost, I mean, you're still going to have to, make them play that card eventually, or use a Never Dull Moment, and so on and so forth. But yeah, so Relentless Pursuit, I'm not much to say about that card, but there's a lot of possibilities with it in terms of being able to splash it in some of your decks. You could even play decks that only have 1 record and still play this card as a pseudo marksmanship, if you will. Now keep in mind, these cards like marksmanship, they have their limits. Marksmanship can only get a guy in bot mode, non-body mode or combiner mode, anything like that. And Relentless Pursuit also has its limits as well. But where you can maximize its value and your opponent has 2 of the same character, whatever the case is, it's going to be great. Now, I will say, on that note, I do think this card is not a 3 of. This card is actually maybe a 1 or 2 of. If they're playing 5/5 drops and happen to not be playing Motormaster, all 5 of their characters will take 2 damage. And it's kind of like a one-sided, it is a one-sided photon bomb, or just a better armed hovercraft, or however you want to look at it. So overall, I don't think this card will be a 3 of index. So when you see this card coming out of ATP4, don't auto jam 3 of these in your deck. I can see it definitely be a 1 to 2 of in your main deck, and then potentially throwing another one in your side deck if the format warrants it. So as things evolve and we get more ATP sets and we get more characters, if we start to see synergies within characters where they are matching and have the same number of stars, we can start seeing Relentless Pursuit seeing even more play and being even stronger. And with that, you guys, make sure you guys go check out our Facebook group, the Alpha Trion Protocols, and see the previews that we've already had. We've had a Mercenary B shown that's 7 stars. 7, that's a huge number for a lot of decks, because decks like Living Weapon, or I keep saying Living Weapon, Legendary Warrior Optimus can use that B. And what that unlocks for that Legendary Warrior Optimus is being able to use Opportune Repairs. And Opportune Repairs is obviously going to be really good with Legendary Warrior Optimus, because when he heals, he'll be able to potentially heal back to full a lot. And even if your B dies later on, you can still heal back to full. So I'm looking forward to building that kind of deck. And some other things, we got Opportunism, and that card is actually insane as well. But overall, cards like Opportunism and the Mercenary B, which you can use with Legendary Warrior, and other things like that, I'm very much looking forward to, as well as the rest of the cards that we have to show you out of the ATP4 set. So again, check out that Facebook group, see the album of the cards that we already have. Of course, this card will be added to the album there soon. And again, we have a lot more to show you guys, and we're excited to be able to drop the, bless you, ATP4 on June 15th. So with that, yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Expect some more Transformer TCG content coming from me soon. And you guys know what it is. Y'all have a great day and or night. Whenever you're catching this video, this is your homie S. Dot heading out. Peace.